So I've talked about how the voice gets fueled by alcohol and why it's so important to never reinvigorate it by taking another sip and having to reset your day count. But there is something in early sobriety that you do want to reset and will lead to happiness and ideally sober exuberance and a sober spring in your step like me. And that all has to do with the hedonic set point. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Sober Cappy channel. First off, so glad I learned my lesson. I recently did one of these videos in one take, came out perfect, total anomaly, and then I go to play it back, no sound. And it turns out it's pretty easy to hit the mute button on this, so I've since learned to always do a quick test run first. That was not a good day. Anyway, so, I was fascinated to learn many years ago, someone had said alcohol is an isolating drug, which I totally thought sounded counterintuitive. Sure doesn't look isolating when people are packed in bars down in shots, but just like hearing alcohol is a depressant, sure doesn't look like it in bars. But outside of bars and even in them, it can be isolating. Sure was for me when I'd be pulling an Irish exit halfway through the night, so very frequently, along with my famous Irish exit friend Damien. But, so I've learned, and what I want to talk about today is, there's a good reason for it. And it's not just from the shame it brings on, etc. There's actually a physical reason that when we're in the throes of drinking, especially those of us with a disorder, we get, we tend to withdraw from social situations and relationships, have difficulty adjusting to social situations, i.e. social anxiety, have a hard time showing emotion, and can have a lowered libido. Been there. I have a friend that often calls me when he's driving, and he would say to me, when I was sober, he'd say, "Man, I liked you better when you were in your drinking days. You were so much more chill, on our morning calls." And it's true, as opposed to I have all the energy in the world and want to talk all day. And, I recently even said how my phone time goes up 500% when I'm sober. Because when I'm in the throes, I don't want to talk to anybody. And it's crazy. So there's actually a condition for that, which I'm going to talk about and as we go through here. But first I want to talk about it all relates to the hedonic set point, which is our own unique pleasure baseline or natural level of happiness. So when the brain releases enough dopamine from activities we enjoy, it hits our set point and we feel happy. But what happens as we drink a lot of alcohol, it temporarily spikes our happiness level to the point that it gradually creeps our pleasure baseline higher and higher, which then increases the gap between our current happiness level and what we need to feel happy, right? So we start off, our pleasure baseline is here and our happiness level, just say when we're waking up, might be just a little bit lower, and then we do something we enjoy, and boom, we can shoot right above it. Well, again, as we drink, and that artificial dopamine, floods our system, slowly that pleasure baseline creeps up and stays up, okay? All right? So what happens is our body, as we get flooded with dopamine, it says, well, I can put some of my energy elsewhere, and actually starts to kill off some of the dopamine receptors. A term basically called it down regulates, which means it suppresses a response to a stimulus, which is why we need more and more alcohol to feel happy. So in the condition, the result is called anhedonia. It actually reduces our ability to experience pleasure or joy in activities we did previously. And again, results in us feeling numb and social anxiety and lower libidos, etc. As we cut back or ideally quit drinking, it takes time for this baseline to return back to normal, right? So what often so happens in early sobriety is we get frustrated, right? I quit drinking a few days ago, a week ago, a month ago. What's going on? I'm still feeling excessive, boredom, which is often how that can manifest. And, I'm still not feeling like going out and interacting, and even the lower libido thing might even take a while for that to come back around as I learned. But hey, I said, I'm going to focus, on my sobriety. So the key to this is to extreme patience. Because do you see what's happening here? I'll tell you. Without the dopamine rush from alcohol, it feels like we're lacking something, which we literally are. We're lacking the neurotransmitters that used to motivate us to do pleasurable things or hard things. So then we ultimately, if we don't do the work, we lose patience and we drink again. And this creates this vicious cycle, due to this anhedonia condition that's essentially pleasure deafness. It's essentially, they call it a hedonic dysregulation. Remember, I'm talking about the hedonic set point. Well, this is, a dysregulation. It's a broken pleasure system. We need to break the cycle, just like breaking the drinking cycle. And the way to break it is we have to replace the artificial dopamine hits from alcohol with natural ones. And I've talked about those in some of the previous videos. Ones you can do from home, because, again, you're not going to feel like running out and being social right away, but you will. But, exercise, gratitude practice, you will learn we are the luckiest. You'll feel that more every day, I hope. Cold shower finishes, just 30 seconds, love it. And then participating ideally in sobriety support calls. Sharing for as little as 10 seconds on a sobriety support call will give you a tremendous dopamine hit and make you feel so much prouder of yourself. You'll be surprised. Now, other things you can do, and I have a whole video on multiple ways, other ways of doing the work, but also to overcome, things like boredom, recommend things like art or learning an instrument, learning a language, learning new cooking skills and recipes, new workout routine, or a new skill. I realized I quit on my own for 3.5 years. And I look back, this time around, I did it in community by doing the work. But that time, I didn't know it, but I was doing hard things I didn't realize I was doing hard things every day. I had to get out of sales due to the drinking environment. You got to eliminate all your triggers, even if that means leaving a job. Sobriety is priceless. So I went out and pursued my Salesforce.com certification and eventually got it and got a job as a Salesforce administrator analyst. It was over my head. I worked for a very tough, controlling boss. If I was in the throes of drinking, I would have drank every day. But instead, I persevered. I showed up. I mastered the job. I got better every day. I got prouder every day. And that was a hard thing sober every day. And I had a girlfriend at the time. We did hot yoga, Bikram 3-4 times a week, 90 minutes. It was like running a half marathon every time. Tremendous dopamine hitting hard things sober. So you've got to do the work. You've got to make alcohol your number one priority because now you know what you're up against. And you've got to break this vicious cycle. And remember, it's not going to be one-to-one at first because you remember some of those dopamine receptors went away. So you're going to have to do even more, get even more dopamine hits, especially early on. I'm a dopamine fiend. I get them every chance I can get. I know if I'm not feeling great by noon, it's because I haven't done, one or all of those practices I mentioned. You got to do it. And now, 8 months in, although I feel much longer, I'm back where I was when I quit for 3.5 years, I feel euphoric when I brush my teeth. Often it's residual from dopamine hits from earlier. So, sharing, cold showers, etc. But you got to do it. And you will come around. And you'll come to feel emotions. A lot of sober women talk about, no longer putting up with their narcissist, husbands. And that's going to happen, if they're not going to do the work along with you. My buddy that preferred me kind of numbed down the next morning. I don't put up with him anymore. So, it will take time. They say it can take up to 6 months, if not more. Brain scans of cocaine addicts showed it took up to 2 years for them to return to normal activity. So the bottom line is you've got to stay sober. You've got to stay patient. That'll do it. Please like, share, subscribe, etc. And as always, remember, stronger, sober, and patient. Thanks.